Alrighty, we're on. The Pharmacy Seeds Network is live. We'll just wait a minute and see if things look okay here. Looks like they do. And I guess we'll see if anybody shows up. That's always good. Let me just have a look at the dashboard here. Well, looks like some people are coming in. Hello and welcome. Let me get back to the dashboard here where I can see. There we go, Stevers Homestead. Hey, is it Stivers or Stevers? Never sure. Yorkshire George, hello. Yes, I'm live again. This actually isn't a test. This is actually just figured I'd do a Q&A. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me about anything I'm doing or anything else they think I might know something about, I'm glad to share. So just a Q&A session, kind of a conversation. Almost wish we could have video both directions, but given how chats can get sometimes, it'd be crazy if it were all video. Steyervers. I know. I remember you telling someone in one of the other live streams I was watching, and I still forgot it and didn't get it right, so there you go. Anyway, I apologize. St. Ivers. Is that correct? St. Ivers. I'll put a 1 after it. Put 1 if that's correct. I think I got it right that time. Anyway, welcome. How are you guys tonight? And where are you at, St. Ivers? Yorkshire George, another late night for you, huh? Let's see if I calculate your time right. It's like 2 in the morning there now, I think. Interesting little note. This is my coffee cup here. It's been my coffee cup for quite some time. And it's interesting. I was on another farm that I had like a large garden on at the time. That was more of a garden than farm operation then. And ended up having to move off of that farm. They were doing some upgrades to the property, and they were going to really up the rent. And I wasn't going to stick around and pay a phenomenal amount of money, so I moved on. But as I was moving, this cup was given to me, and I moved temporarily to another place and lived with a friend, and then I moved on to an apple farm. So I just thought it was interesting that the apple cup showed up before I ended up moving to the apple farm, or even knowing I was going to end up on an apple farm. And so then I lived there for a while, and then I moved to this farm, and this farm is basically an abandoned farm. Well, it was when I showed up, and I've been clearing and fixing things up a little bit at a time over time with my limited time and money. Yeah, micro farms is the future, for sure. And it's okay if you can't stay long. I understand, Yorkshire George. But thanks for checking in. Just roll with it, doesn't matter to us. Yeah, I hear you. It's funny, people always mix up the Pharmacy Seeds Network. I always stop and explain farm, F-A-R-M, as in kind of a play on words, farm as in pharmacy, with an F, as in let food be thy medicine, and people still go, oh, I tried to look up your YouTube channel and I couldn't find it. Like, how did you search for it? Pharmacy, P-H. That's why. I give up. Hashtag pharmacy with an F. Yeah, microfarms. That distributed infrastructure thing works really, really well. It's super resilient to any sort of damage or attack or problem. There are so many nodes that even if you crash 20 of them, you can't crash everything. Hey, getting started on homesteading. Hello, how are you tonight? Welcome. Glad you came in. I do have some animals. I have some chickens. I have thought about goats, pigs, and cows. I'm not sure I'm ready for bigger animals yet. I really would like to do cows for beef, because I'd love to have my own grass-fed beef, because it's really expensive, and I know some people who are interested in any products I produce, so if I did do beef, I could sell it. Problem is, this farm does not have a lot of grazing land. Most of it is overgrown in some form of forest or brush or something like that. So my thought was goats would probably be better for that, because they're more of a browser. Redeemed Ranch, hello, welcome. Thanks for coming in. But I thought about pigs because we have a tremendous amount of nut trees on this property. Oak trees and hickory and I forget all what else, but a bunch. And there's also a bunch of other like autumn olive and all kinds of stuff like that. Hey, the channel's no good without the watchers, so thank you for coming. Well, my main station here, my setup here is grid powered at the moment. I want to move forward to get it off grid, but it's expensive to buy panels and batteries and charge controllers and stuff. But the greenhouse is off grid, and my water supply is all done through a ram pump. I don't know if you've seen any of my ram pump videos yet, but you should definitely check those out. Ram pump basically is a gravity powered pump. So I move about 1,400 gallons a day to my reservoirs up top here, and that's plenty of water for the farm. And that's all done by gravity. So that's off grid. That's from a spring, which is excellent drinking water, excellent for health, and excellent tasting. So that's taken care of. The greenhouse is solar powered, and everything here heat wise, exception of this place, but it could be converted, is wood powered for heat. So I effectively am off grid. From an operational standpoint, yes I am. Yeah, I have been cleaning out some of the underbrush, getting started on homesteading. Now that I have the tractor, I can clean that out a lot easier. I had borrowed a friend's tractor a couple of years back, and I did a lot of the dam upgrades for the pond, for the ram pump, and a lot of land clearing, brush clearing around here. But there's more to be done. I probably will do more with the tractor, but I question whether that's the best move when there's a lot of brush here and I could browse goats. Goat meat is delicious if you've never had it, and I understand it gets a good price, and also the goats could be rented out to do you know, other farm mowing effectively. So those are thoughts in my head. I haven't really formed anything in concrete yet. Okay, no worries. St. Ivor's Homestead, catch up whenever you can. Glad you subbed. Thank you. Oh yeah, okay, Mike Sill. Yeah, no, I haven't really mentioned power, but the greenhouse is solar powered. The data logger there, and I plan to roll that out forward as more of a power station, also to support some LED lights in the barn and small power load stuff. I do have ideas and tentative plans to pick up the overflow from the pond and do a supplemental water power for recharging battery banks, but that's a pretty involved engineering project that I'm not I'm not sure I want to put that much investment into this property. I'm not sure I'm going to stick here long term. I like it here, but I don't know that it will stay in the state that it's in. I don't own the land myself, so let's see. Your wood heat too, St. Ivers. Yeah, it's the ticket, man. People say they can, that it's so hard to stoke a stove. No, it's good exercise, and it's great to be intimate with the land you're on and to have control over your own heat and fuel source. It's really excellent. And if you size your stoves, furnaces, and thermal masses right, it's not that difficult to keep things pretty stable. You had a storm today and your greenhouse went down? Oh no. Oh no. Was it one of those hoop houses? How big a greenhouse? And did it take the frame or just the, I don't know if you're plastic or glass covering? That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. No, not good. Not good, Redeemed Ranch. That's right. Not good. Yeah, I'd be very upset if my greenhouse went down. I overbuilt the crap out of the frame in hopes it wouldn't. But I'll tell you, sometimes when the winds whip up here, I wonder, is this thing going to come down on my head? A few tiny holes. Well, tiny holes aren't too bad to patch, but yeah, I'd be heartbroken if I lost mine too, because I wouldn't just lose the greenhouse. I'd lose all the tropical plants and stuff in it too, depending on when it went down. Not to mention, it would crumple all the solar power, charge controller infrastructure. I'm sure some of that stuff will get screwed up as well. But yeah, that's a hard hit to take. I hope you're able to redeem something from it and rebuild it relatively easily. I don't. My heart goes out to you on that. That's horrible. Okay, yeah. I'm glad. Thank you, Mike. I'm glad you're interested in the power on the overflow. Yeah, I have looked at that. I do mention it in some of the RAM videos. I mentioned some of my general concept and ideas, but there's not a whole lot of head drop there. I think with enough pipe and the right setup, I could probably pull between 8 and 10 foot of drop. But it's a pretty good pipe distance to get that much drop. So 10 foot of drop in a 4-inch pipe, and I think a 4-inch pipe at gravity speed basically moves about 60 gallons a minute. I think it'd give me about a kilowatt, and that pond will store right now about 12,000 gallons. So I could run some power for a little while, but I don't think it'd be more than probably 4 or 5 hours. But it might be enough to recharge a battery bank with a decent boost, so it is something I've considered. It's just a lot of engineering pieces to put together. I don't have a lot of money, so everything I build has to be from recycled parts or gifted parts or scrap parts or whatever. 10 by 20. Only had it up 4 weeks. No. Oh no. Did you have a snowstorm? What kind of storm took it out? No, Geeky, you're not the only insomniac. Have any of you guys seen the interview Joe Rogan with Elon Musk? And he's asking Elon Musk about what it's like to have a mind like that and how cool that must be. And and Elon's like, well, it's really not great actually. It's going all the time. It never shuts off. And I was just thinking about that today. That's my mind. It never shuts off. It never shuts off. I lay in bed for 3 hours trying to get to sleep because my mind just won't stop going through millions of things. Oh my god, I could build this and do that and do this and do that and this and that. It's just, it's great when you're doing something, but when you want to like not do something, it's nearly impossible not to think about it. Yes, you get it, Geeky Gardens. I knew you would. Excuse me. Yeah, that's what I've heard too, St. Ivers. But then I've had close family members tell me I'm an idiot savant. I didn't get past the idiot part, I just heard the idiot, you know. Of course, I didn't believe them, but... I don't know if it's extreme intelligence, St. Ivers. Actually, when I think about it, it might just be Or just wackos. It could just be wackos. That's totally possible. It might just be extreme neural activity, neuron synapse activity. It might not actually go anywhere. It might just be a bunch of random, useless thoughts. A lot of those come through. I have to filter them out. It was one of those cheap $250 greenhouses. Okay. A windstorm. Yeah. Yeah. Was that plastic or steel supports? Or those like the tubular type frame kind of thing? I looked at buying some of those a while back before I built this greenhouse, and I kept looking at the price and looking at the durability of the tubing and thinking, I don't want to lose a greenhouse to a windstorm. I also didn't have the money for that, so I went out back and just cut a bunch of trees and built it literally out of trees. It was kind of a fun project. It actually took me exactly 30 days, October 9th to November 9th, 2014. Of course, that was with the in-ground furnace setup. If you haven't seen that, I think there's a couple of videos of that, and I just rediscovered some more video on that, which I'll try and get edited up sometime soon. Because that was a really cool experiment, and given more concrete material, shall we say, I think that system works really well. And I'd love to combine that with the water thermal mass system that I do now. Those two together would be completely resilient to power loss. So on that note, one of you guys was asking earlier about if I'm off-grid. So when I first built the greenhouse, I built an in-ground furnace about 4 feet in the ground, and 4-foot-long firebox, 15 by 15 inches. And the exhaust from that furnace went through the ground and around and back out the other side. So it went underneath the whole greenhouse, so that the heat from the furnace all would get dissipated into the thermal mass of the soil under the greenhouse, and then that would dissipate over time. So incorporated in that, I had 2 4-inch pipes that came up. When you build this is a rocket stove type furnace. So it was the furnace in the ground, and then coming up from the furnace, I'll just make sure I'm on camera here. Coming up from the furnace, there was like a riser column where the furnace came up through the center, and then the exhaust hit like this dome at the top, and then came back down, and that basically catalyzes any remaining unburnt stuff, and it also helps force a draft through the rest of the exhaust pipe, so your exhaust pipe can go anywhere it wants after that, because you've taken a lot of the heat out of it. So it came out of that and then into the soil under the greenhouse. So next to that catalyzer, I had 2 4-inch pipes, and they basically convectively drew fresh air in and heated the air, and then spawned it off into the greenhouse. So that was completely grid independent also, basically just taking advantage of thermal siphon and convective loops. And that worked pretty well for our first test around. Yeah, metal framing, plastic metal framing was too small. Yeah. Is it completely mangled, or do you think you can like beef it up, maybe put it back up and sturdy it up with some 2x4s or something like that? Hey, thanks, Steve. St. Ivers. I'm still calling you Steve. The problem is I have a friend who we all call, whose name is Steve, and we all call him Stever. So every time I see St. Ivers, I think Stevers. Yeah, it was a pretty cool system, pretty cool experiment. I only really expected it to last about a season. I think I got 2 out of it, because I built it out of really thin metal, recycled parts, and I didn't have concrete. I just used adobe. It was really just kind of an experiment. And then after that, I switched to the wood stove that I have in there now. And now this year I got a new wood stove to upgrade in there, but I've been using that in another building until spring finishes breaking here and I can pull out of there. And then next year, so that'll go in, and that'll be connected to that big thermal mass tank with some extra convective dissipators. And then all of our thermal mass heating will be done without pumps at all. It'll be done through thermosiphon. And so that eliminates the need for the pump for that. And that's okay. Getting started on homesteading. Thanks for checking in. Sorry your phone's dying. Have a good night. Thanks for joining the Pharmacy Seeds Network. What was I saying? Something silly. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Anyone know where I was going with that? Oh, that'll eliminate, so that new system will eliminate the need for the pump, and then that pump will be repurposed. Part of the deal when I got this tractor back in the fall, I actually got a sort of a whole homesteader's estate because he was kind of getting out of it because he married someone new and moved on to a different part of his life, a different chapter. And so I got all of his homesteading stuff, which is a ton of awesome materials to work with. But one of the things I got was a big solar hot water heater panel. So I'm going to use that as a supplemental heat for the greenhouse, and that pump that currently runs the heat coil from the main thermal mast over to the bank will end up running from the big thermal bank up through the solar hot water coil, and we'll take on BTUs that way. And my goal is to make the greenhouse more self-sustainable as far as heating. You know, take some more of the stoke out of it, or make it so when I do stoke it, we capture heat as efficiently as possible. So that's kind of a longer term projected direction of it. I'd also like to expand it, but I think I'm going to have to wait until I'm on a different property, or until I have some sort of deal worked out with the landlords or zoning or whatever. But this has been excellent for testing and learning. Good to make all your mistakes on a small scale, I think. So does anyone have any other questions for me? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone seen that movie? No? No questions? Okay. Anything else you want me to elaborate about? Stuff that I've done? Stuff that I haven't done? Why haven't I done something? Yeah, make the mistakes while they aren't critical. I'll tell you what, coming from the IT side of things, that really really amplifies your knowledge of that, huh? Don't push that thing to the website till it's perfect. Broken scripts are no fun. Yeah, right on the money, Geeky. Make them now while they aren't critical. I keep having people asking me, like friends and stuff, like, well, why don't you just build a bigger greenhouse? It's like, well, first of all, that's expensive. And second of all, if I spend that money and do something wrong, then I could tear it down and buy new replacement parts, and now I've doubled or tripled or quadrupled my cost. Now, I want to make my mistakes small. I've been studying controlled grow environments overall probably about 20 years, maybe 25. But greenhouses has only been since 2014. I've wanted one for eons. I finally in 2014 was like, I'm just going to do it. I got to build it and try it and learn. And so I stayed small. Hey, that's how I'm right there with you, Geeky Gardens. I spend most of my time learning ways that don't work too. What doesn't work, so I can figure out what does work. Yeah, it's a good way to do things sometimes. Everybody around you thinks you're crazy, but I find that experience, even though I went through something that didn't work and I learned that didn't work, that experience later on pays off when you go to do something else. That comes back and pays you back, and not making a mistake on something else you're working on, because you have that experience in your like memory banks, kind of. That's saved me a lot of stuff. I have this theory that like failure failure causes success, and success causes failure, because when you fail at something, it makes you better at succeeding, and when you succeed at something, you miss all those failures, and it could cost you a failure later on. So I have that kind of strange perspective. I don't know, maybe everybody thinks I'm nuts, but I don't care. No, I don't find being crazy to be a negative either, geeky. I think you gotta be a little crazy to function in this world. And especially if you don't just work a regular 9-to-5 job and, you know, work your 9 to 5 and go home and watch TV and eat your microwave dinner and go to bed and get up and do it tomorrow again. You know, when you want to be in charge of your own destiny, that can be really hard in this world. There's a lot of very established systems that don't make it easy to do that. You kind of have to find a pathway to it. But hey, that's part of life, right? It's not about the destination. It's the journey. All about the journey. If it was about the destination, why be born? So, I don't know. Anyone still watching the stream? 4. Okay. So yeah, I guess there aren't any real questions or anything. Anything anybody else want to talk about? Anybody have something you want to tell me? Something I should learn about? Geeky, come on, you gotta have something you can tell me about. By the way, I watched your turtle video the other day. Or a couple of them actually. Very cool. I like the boxing video. That was cool to see. I've come across snappers back on the old farm. They would come up and they would actually like dig up right in one of my rows. It would either be like tomatoes or cucumbers or something I didn't want dug up, and they dig up right in the middle of them and lay eggs. I know it was like kind of shoo them off, but that was always cool to watch. I think I have some video of that. I'm not sure if I put one of those up on the channel here or not. If not, when I stumble across it again, I'll put a clip up. Got your first Raspberry Pi on the way today? Oh, what can't you do with it? What can't you do with it? A Linux server in the size of a cigarette pack. What can't you do with it? I got one right here. Hold on. Now you're getting me excited. I'd love to talk about that. Ask me questions about that. I could go on all day about that. Uh-oh. See, you struck a nerve there, geeky. There you go. Here's a Raspberry Pi 2. I gotta put on my other studio software so I can see what's going on here. In fact, I'm gonna set this to always on top. There we go. There you go. That's a Pi 2. That was in the old place. Actually, that was data logging temperatures for the stove, so I could monitor where the stove was at when it needed to be stoked. But the network connection crashed on me the other day, so I pulled it from the rest of the data logger stuff and brought it over, trying to fix it, and it won't recognize the wireless mouse and keyboard I have, and I haven't had a chance to plug in the regular wired ones to fix the network connection back up. But they're a lot of fun, Geek Gardens, and it sounds like you have a nice deep background in technology and computers and that sort of stuff. Was it you said you have an 8-core computer the other day? That's a ripper. That's awesome. Oh, so which Pi did you get? The Pi 3B Plus? Or the old 3B? I know how you feel. I want it. I want it. Actually, you know, one of the first things you could do, you must have to keep a certain temperature range for your turtles in the tanks. You can monitor temperatures with a little database and a DS18B20 temperature sensor, Dallas Instruments. They make them with a 3-foot waterproof probe. I think they're about $2 a pop, and they're 1-wire network. 3B Plus must have latest and greatest. I figured as much. You're a smart man. That's actually a huge upgrade in speed and agility, and yeah, the 3B Plus was a nice jump for me. Not far enough along to know what to ask. Did order a 16-gig card with a multi-OS bootloader. Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start. I run 32-gig cards here, but actually, did that copy over? I think that. Let me see if that finished copying. Well, anyway, I got a solid-state 120 gigabyte hard drive my friend gave me, and the guys at our amateur radio club are, well, some of us that are more Pi oriented are switching their Pis over to solid-state hard drives and just using the flash card to load the initial grub. Noob loader. Okay. Yeah, you can actually just take that card and plug it into an adapter into your USB, and you can actually write with something called WinDisk 32 Imager. You're probably familiar with this. You basically can just write the image, and then what you can do later on is make backups of the image of the card, so you don't have to rebuild your whole OS depending on what you gear for. Like I make a regular backup. I make a backup after I set up a Pi, and then of course I do just database backups from there and file backups. But you know, you could take an image and then you have easy clones. Not familiar. Okay, WinDisk 32 Imager, free download. For basically take an image and write it to an SD card. It'll probably do all sorts of other stuff. I haven't played with that. I use other programs for imaging. Acronis for small business servers. The one I use for Windows-based systems. Also EaseUS data recovery and a few of the others. But those are way more complex than you need for the Pi. WinDisk 32 Imager. And do I have... Yeah, I got it right here. And you can get one of these adapters to go from the micro SD card to USB, and then you can plug it right in your USB and write your Raspbian Jessie image to it. Is it Jessie? No, now it's Stretch. Stretch is the latest. Stretch is really stable and nice. Jessie was a little quirky from time to time, but Stretch has been really solid for me so far. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, a lot of the software I run has to have Windows, like AutoCAD, stuff like that. I have not found an AutoCAD for Linux. Otherwise, I would probably switch all the way over to Linux, because the more familiar I get with it, the more I like it, and the less I appreciate Windows. But I am pretty versatile in Windows, mostly XP and 7, although we do run 10 at work. I'm not a fan of 10 at all. And I know people who upgraded to 10 and lost all their files. Thanks, Bill. Windows, I like your spelling of that too, Geeky. I haven't seen that one before. Yeah, Noob Loader is basically just an easy way to put the OS on, but the WinDisk 32 Imager, then you could just grab the whole image and put it on. Either way doesn't matter. Once it's installed, it rocks and rolls. And the 3B Plus is pretty fast, pretty nice. For the little processor that it is, it screams right along. I'm able to like, I'm able to run the SQL, that full database logging, and a couple of different Python scripts at the same time, and play music and watch YouTube all at the same time. YouTube can be a little hangy. It's Google Chrome on that machine right now. It used to run Mozilla Firefox, but they stopped supporting ARM processors. Yeah, I know. I loved Windows when I first discovered it after DOS. But yeah, it's grown in distaste for me. The aftertaste of Windows is really the problem, you know. It's the window doesn't taste so bad, but after the glass breaks and every time you taste the blood and you know that's your own blood and you know it's from Windows, you get sick of that. It's like chewing glass. Broken windows. Hey, KR5T, K2IIN, how's it going? Yeah, I think I'm outgrowing it as well, Kiki. Sounds like you grew faster than me. Good for you. Good for you. I'd love to be completely rid of it. I'm just not ready to emulate AutoCAD on Linux yet. That may change. Alan C. Travis, how are you? Didn't realize you were a ham. I don't know why I didn't realize that, but actually, you know what? We have a local IRC chat here. I'm gonna run your call. Out of curiosity. What is it? K5RT? Yeah, K5RT. Don't worry, I won't call you out. Our local ham club has a IRC-based chat, mesh chat. Typically, we would run it over wireless networks, but right now it's just connected over the internet. But as we develop our mesh network, that'll be one of the services on the mesh network. And my friend Aaron, who's an excellent engineer and coder, okay, Paul. Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. Who's an excellent coder and engineer. He wrote a program he calls Hambot, and it's kind of like an early version of AI as it relates to IRC. No matter what you say in IRC, he kind of responds. He'll like kind of chat in with you, kind of like a bot. But you can also we can also ping the FCC database and look up call signs and a number of other tasks. Very cool system he's developing there. He actually has a website. In fact, you should check it out. It's hamradio.cc if you're interested in that sort of thing. He builds all kinds of circuitry. Actually, Geeky Gardens, I'm sure you'll get a kick out of his site too. He does all kinds of good reviews and stuff. And yeah, anyway, yeah, Geeky, I just kind of outgrew it too. Louisiana. Oh, okay. We have a guy who just moved up here from Louisiana. Mose. What is his call? K. Oh man, now I can't remember his call. 0.95 kernel. See, I don't even know Geeky Gardens. I've only been into Linux and maybe I mostly started with Backtrack 5. That was really what got me into Linux. And then my server was CentOS. I think the last rendition we ran was 6.5 or 7. But I had tried it a couple times, but I just couldn't make. I wasn't technically astute enough to really make the switch. And of course, it doesn't support all the software that I need supported, like those specialty programs like AutoCAD. And at the time, I had trouble finding video editors for Linux. I did find one a while back and play with it on the Pi, but the Pi just isn't up to that job. Darlene's Garden Channel, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Glad you joined us. We're talking about all sorts of stuff, anything from farming to Raspberry Pi and electronics and operating systems and ham radio and you name it. Any questions for me or anyone else in the chat, Darlene? Glad to answer any questions you might have. Yeah, the guy from Louisiana. Why can't I remember his call? K5 KB5 BV. Oh, that's gonna bug me now. It is pie day. Did you bake us a raspberry pie? This one's raw still. I haven't baked it yet. I hope it doesn't bake. No further questions, Your Honor. Okay, that's all right. Anything else you want to know about the pie, Geeky, while we're talking about it? We talked about Win32 Imager. We talked a little bit about the SD card. I told you a little bit about sensors. 10% off at Adafruit. Speaking of Adafruit, they have the temperature humidity sensor if you're looking to do that sort of thing too. I think they're about $10. It's a DHT22. East Oregon. Oh wow. Oregon. I've never been to Oregon, but I've seen pictures and videos and it is beautiful. I hope someday to get out there and check it out. I know it's not that kind of pie. I'm just ribbing you. I'll have to check out your channel, Darlene. I don't think I've seen your channel. So I'll have to check that out. So thanks for coming in. Oh, okay. The DS18B20 sensor from Dallas Instruments, as well as the DHT22 from Adafruit. The DHT22 sensor, you have to wait about 2 seconds between reads on it, so you'll probably have to do like a 4-eye loop, because it doesn't always read accurately. I think I have 5 loops in my current script. Oregon. Okay, I apologize. I'm from out east. We have a screwy accent out here. And if you think my accent's bad, if you go 90 miles south of me, they all talk like they're from New York. And I'm not making fun of New Yorkers. I have several friends that have moved up from New York. What was I saying about the pie? Something about sensors, right? No, I think I moved past sensors. I don't know. I'm having trouble keeping my train of thought tonight. Oh, nice. How many people in your family, Geeky? You've got a couple of sisters, so you got at least 2 other siblings. Okay. Fair enough. It's complicated. I'll let it go with that. It's cool. Oh, I love them southern accents. I love when them southern girls start talking. There's one girl that does a lot of like fishing, hunting, related stuff. Her and her dad both actually. Hannah Barron. I love her accent. If you haven't checked out her channel, she's got a pretty cool channel. I suppose I should throw a couple shout outs to some other channels too while I'm here. Homesteading the Hard Way. Those guys are excellent. Chris and Darlene. Chris really knows his pigs, and he's doing a whole series on raising piglets, I think to slaughter. So you should check that out if you're interested in that sort of thing. 3 in the original, added 3 on Dad's side, then 2 on Mom's side. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, big family. Wow. I had one brother. He died back in 1999 in a car accident. He was 8 years older than me. He was a great brother, and I'm glad I had the time with him that I did. Okay. One of those deals, Geeky. That's how it goes, you know. There's a whole interesting lecture. remember if it's from San Francisco University, but it's on sex and aggression and like human biology, brain biology, behavior. Really interesting. He talks about how humans select for like gene pools and all kinds of stuff. Really interesting stuff. You guys teach hunter education. Oh, excellent. I used to hunt a lot more when I was a kid. I don't get out much now. I'm usually too busy on the farm to go hunting. But hunting was one of my favorite hobbies when I was a kid. I did a lot of hunting up in the Catskills and around here. And the hunter safety course was excellent. I actually took my hunter safety course at a DEC camp I got sponsored for when I was 14, I think, up in Camp Colby up in the Adirondacks. That was a lot of fun too. 2 other stepsisters. Wow, you got a huge family, Geeky Gardens. Huge family. Christmas must be expensive. Well, I'm glad Darlene's Garden Channel. I'm glad you're educating younger generations and newcomers about hunter safety. That is so important. So many people get shot in our woods every year for people who just don't handle a weapon well and don't think about what they're doing. You read some of these newspaper articles and it's just like, man, you're shooting at a target you can't identify. Why? I'm sorry to hear that, Geeky Gardens. Well, you know, families are tough. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And so your likelihood of getting along with them goes down a little bit from that, I think. And not everybody has their head on straight their whole life. I certainly didn't have my head on straight when I was younger. I'm not sure I do now, but it's at least started on the thread. Oh yeah, I think very important, and the ethics important too, not just gun safety. Yes, absolutely, ethics is just as important as gun safety. It's all really part of the whole puzzle. I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that. That's excellent. We need more of that, and less gangsters with tattoos on their face as an example of how to handle a gun. Yeah, I think we all go through that too, Geeky Gardens. I made some really, really dumb decisions when I was younger. God, did I make some dumb decisions. I'm trying to do less of that these days. I'm getting better at it. Yeah. Yep, absolutely, Darlene's Garden. Nah, don't worry about it. We know what you mean. We know what you mean. I type fast and things don't always come out right either, but we look at it all in context. We can figure it out. It's all good. So you guys give like monthly or weekly courses, or how do you do it out in Oregon, if I'm saying that right? I guess we have 8 watching now, so hello to whoever else has jumped in. If you have any questions for me, by all means, hit me up. This is a Q&A. You can ask me anything you want. We're also just kind of chatting back and forth here. We've talked about everything from farming to computers to operating systems to Raspberry Pis to hunting safety. There's probably other stuff I'm forgetting at this point, but shoot away if you have any questions. Markhart Meadows. Ah, yeah, that does ring a bell. Yeah, I jump on Two Family Live quite a bit. Those guys are doing a great job helping other channels get noticed and recognized. Good people over there. Shout out to Two Family Homestead. Out of Goshen, those guys are interesting too. They've got a live meet coming up in May. If anyone's near Michigan. Oh, you were incognito, huh, Geeky? Diamond Age Farmhouse Schwank. Glad you stopped in. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for coming by. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Any questions I can answer? Any comments? Criticisms? I'm open to all. Another ID for lurking, yeah. Typical technical guy, huh? One for the front page and one for the snoop. Once a year, sometimes twice, but other teachers in our instructor organization teach more often. Okay. So you have, how many instructors do you have? A bunch? Nice to have you, Diamond Age Farmhouse. By the way, I hope no one takes offense when I abbreviate their names. I mean no harm. Hello, Deblon Mathenia. I am in Tivoli, New York, about 90 miles north of New York City. I am ready for spring. Spring actually, I think, I hope, has sprung. We had 60 degrees here today, or 59, and sunny, beautiful. The ice is melting, and of course now we're in mud for a while. But I'm hoping we have good warm forecast for the next week or so. I'm hoping that the ground will thaw and some of this mucky mud will drain out. Tall, bald, and green. Statewide, several hundred. Okay. I was just curious. Bald and green. Yes. Oh yes, this spring will be an excellent mud harvest. Like your sense of humor. That's good. Can I use that? Yeah, we still have some snow in our yard too. 40s today. Well, 40s is better than frozen solid. We had a wicked cold snap last week, down in the single digits, almost zero, like 5 or 6 nights in a row, and not up over 30 in the day. It was cold, so everything really froze in solid. I think soil temps are, I think 6 inches is still at like 31 degrees or something like that. But yeah, we still have ice patches and snow patches in the shady spots. but we do have some mud and melted ground where the sun hit. I'm actually waiting for the line that comes up from the ram pump. There's a couple of points where it crosses under roadways to like a conduit. I'm waiting for those to thaw out so I can get some water back to the greenhouse and get some propagation going. I'm getting ready to start sweet potatoes and ginger, and I am really stoked about it this year. Yeah, I guess so. Geeky Gardens, a different definition of spring. Central Florida will do that to you. Do you guys have gators around you? Do you have to worry about gators when you go out back? I love the South, man, but every time I think about the gators and snakes, I'm like, I don't know, man. Only thing we got to worry about here is the occasional, very occasional black bear or cougar. I don't think we have any Sasquatch around here, but I could be wrong. 6B, okay, we're 5B here, Darlene. So you got a slightly warmer climate than us. Good for you. Yeah, that's that Pacific Northwest pulling that Pacific Northwest pulling that energy and warmth off the ocean, right? W4ADW in Dearborn, Michigan has been writing code for several decades. He gets on K5WDH repeater via Echolink several times a week around 0700. Use that repeat at will. Oh, okay. Thanks, Alan. That's, well, I'll have to come back to the chat and pull that out. W4ADW in Dearborn, Michigan. You know, that call sounds familiar. I might have talked to him by HF, actually. Gets on K5WDH. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that repeater, but I am familiar with Echolink. And I actually have Echolink here on my machine. I'll have to add that to him. That'd be cool to check in. Or winters like this, you get bumped back to 5A. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. We might roll back to 4B. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Darlene. It's okay. Squatch are everywhere. Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear. I haven't, well, I can't say I haven't seen one, but I can't say I've seen one. But I had a really interesting experience out back one night. And I've never felt a fear like that before in my life, and I never have since. So I gotta wonder. I'll leave it at that for now. 6-foot gator. Yeah, that would put the fear of God into you. Snakes are no issue. The good ones chase off the bad ones. Okay. Okay. I'll go with that. But the gators, man. Poof. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not like they're inconspicuous. They're a pretty large animal. But, man, I really like going around the water in the summertime and being able to wade through water. And, man, knowing there was gators around, I would be afraid to wade in the water. Oh, man, you imagine one of them grabbing you by the leg and taking you down, just rolling you around and drowning you? Oh, no thank you. No, thank you. Oh, you get extreme heat in the summer too. 300 miles inland. Okay. I guess about 90 miles inland. We do have the Hudson River, which kind of mitigates our environment a little bit, but not so much where I am. And we get some really hot temperatures in summer too. We've had 110 here and humid before. Usually in the 90s is our heat. 90s, mid 90s to 100. But that with, you know, 85, 90, 95% humidity is pretty overwhelming. I do a lot of my farming stuff at night to avoid the heat, and because my foliar feeds are best put on at night. Mudwomps instead of Sasquatch. Smaller and live in the swamps. Oh, kind of like a swamp ape kind of thing. Have you seen those, Geeky? I've heard about them. Or been close enough to be scared by one, I guess I should ask. Not necessarily seen. 10 miles south of you for gators. That's a good place for them, huh, Alan? Do I have any signs? Sasquatch signs, you mean? Of Squatch. Gators are fast. Yeah, gators are fast. They can run fast, that's true. So can Squatch, from what I hear. real fast. I've heard 40, 50, 60 miles an hour on some things, which is really alarming. I don't have any wood knocking. I don't have stones or sticks being thrown at me. I don't hear a lot of whooping calls. I do hear some really strange sounding coyote calls sometimes. I think if we do have squatch, they're probably more going through from one area to another. We do have an excellent traveling corridor for them. We got swamps and streams and lowland brush, good cover, all going north-south here. I think that might be a corridor they run. But there was one person I came across that said they have habitation in Tivoli a couple of miles from me. But I don't have any for sure signs, I'll put it that way, that I know of. We went from 7 degrees and snowing to raining and 50s and 60s in Oklahoma. Going to 60s, no wind this Saturday. It changes every day. Yeah, same here. We went from, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees overnight. Some nights 0, windy, snowy, cold, icy. 30 as a max the day. Now today we went up to 60, and tonight we're not going below like 42, 45, something like that. It's supposed to be warm the next week and a half, but then who knows? End of March we could get slammed with another cold spell and a snowstorm. So we've had snowstorms in April. We had an April 4th snowstorm that knocked out power for a good week and a half. You're close to Columbia River. Okay. Beautiful area up there, I hear. I also hear the Sasquatch run through there. Low hundreds in the summer, hardly any humidity. Well, the lower humidity doesn't make the hundreds so bad. Of course, I can say that from here, can't I? A close encounter many years ago, but no proof of anything. Yeah, I think it's hard to get actual proof of anything, but I think when you've had an encounter, you know it. And maybe other people might not believe you, but I think you know it. I'm pretty sure I had an encounter too. And had I not done what I did, I don't know if I'd be here. I got in the truck and drove away. I did not want to engage whatever that was in the woods that night. And I was armed. Swamp people just south of you where they filmed some of it. There's 2 gator farms in the area. Nah, I've never seen swamp people. I don't even have TV. I don't watch TV. But I'll have to see if I can find a YouTube clips or something and check that out. 18 miles from Walla Walla. Walla Walla. Am I saying that right? Very cool, very cool. So we got Washington, Oregon, Florida, Oklahoma. I love it. What was your close encounter like, Geeky Gardens? Did you hear something? Or see something? Or smell something? Did you have like a stalk along next to you walking or something? I was checking out Sasquatch encounters over the winter. No TV there either. You're in Missouri. Oh, Missouri. That's nice. That's warm down there. That house is so nice. They named it twice. I like it. I've heard of Walla Walla, but I don't know much about it. Okay, Diamond Age Farmhouse Swank. It was nice to have you in. Thanks for joining. Hope you have a good night. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Anyway, I spent a lot of time over the winter listening to Sasquatch Chronicles episodes and some Dogman Encounters episodes. And I realized as I was listening to them that that's something I saw a couple of years ago. Well, more heard than saw, but I did see eyes. That scared the crap out of me at the time, and I didn't have any idea what it was. I realized that that may have been a Sasquatch. Of course, I can't confirm that. But I can tell you I've never been that scared in my life. Woodburger Farms and Hiker Dave NE will do. Thanks, Deb Long Methina. Methenia. I hope I'm saying that right. And I should mention I've seen bears up close. I've seen coyotes up close. I've seen a lot of the other northern predators pretty close, and when I was unarmed, and I never had that feeling. But that night, I had the feeling I should get out of Dodge and do it quickly. And like I said, I was armed. I don't know what it was, and I wasn't going to find out. Bugs Bunny mentioned it, or it was the pig. Can't think of his name. I was hunting bugs. Oh, Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd. I was after that wascoey wabbit. Ah, the Walla Walla. Okay, I got you. Now I follow. Yeah, maybe that's where I heard of it. I think I've heard of it other places too. Maybe I've seen it on a map or something. But yeah, I vaguely remember that from Elmer Fudd too. Yeah, that's right. Is it Walla? Well, oh yeah, Walla is too, isn't it? I was gonna say Vidalia, which is almost like Valdosta, Georgia. But yeah, I think Walla's an onion too. I think you're right. Yummy onions. Maybe they'll have to go on my grow list. I wonder if those will grow here. Do you guys know onions are photoperiod sensitive? Some onions have to have longer than 12 hours of light in order to form a bulb, and some have to have less than, or something like that. I don't remember the details. Don't quote me on that. But they are photoperiod sensitive, which not a lot of the food crops we grow are, but those are. Walla Walla Sweets, that's it. Yeah. Never enough onions, so true. Never enough garlic either. Onions and garlic, man, it's the base for any good dish. Start with onions and garlic, add whatever else, and it's gonna be good. And it's gonna be medicinal. That whole allium family is really amazing. Garlic, leeks. Yeah, we have ramps here. We have tons of ramps here on this farm, actually. They're everywhere. My friend and I go out and harvest them in the spring. Actually, we harvest leaves and leave the ramp bulbs so they'll propagate. But yeah, we have them here. And I grow leeks, bunching onions, scallions, garlic, yellow onions, white onions, red onions. I've been through a lot of them. Love onions. This year it was tough to harvest and dry any of the stuff. We had so much rain in the fall, we just never got a break. It's once it started raining, it just never let up. Even garlic I had in under heat lamps with fans on started getting some mold on it. It's really frustrating drying, curing season this year. I managed to bring a bunch of it through though. and they'll go back out. I'll plant them out. I didn't get them in the fall because it was so wet, so I'm gonna have to plant in spring this year, and we'll see what happens. But around the part of the garden, it deters bunnies from chowing down on my garden. Really? Oh, well, I had a bunny problem last year, and none of the current fencing I have would keep them out. So I'll have to try the onion board. Thanks for the tip, Darlene. How long do I store onions? Well, let's see. I think I harvested in August or September. I think early September. And this is March. What's that? 6 months? 7 months? And still some are good. Still storing some. A few are sprouting. I would say, you know, if you store them in the right conditions, cool and dry, you can store them 6 months pretty easily. Also depends on the type of onion. Same with garlic. You know, hard necks garlics store much longer than the soft necks do, or vice versa. I might be wrong on that. I do mostly hard neck here, so. But I've had no trouble storing them 8, 9, 10 months if they were in a good nutrition program, a good foliar feed program. K5WH repeat gets interesting sometimes. Gotta go. I will definitely check out K5WDH repeater. Alan C. Travis, thank you for the tip, and thanks for coming in. And have a great night. We'll see you soon. Yorkies to keep out bunnies. You know, I thought about dogs, but I've never been a dog person, so to speak. I've always had cats. And I have friends who have dogs, and I see how much time and effort they have to put into, you know, just to taking care of their dogs, and I just don't have the time, and so I'd rather not have a pet that I can't be as good to as I should be. I thought about some kind of a farm dog. If I could find the right dog that would just stick around the farm and kind of do his thing and not need a tremendous amount of attention, that'd be great, but again, I don't want to do another creature a disservice. I actually thought about getting an emu. But that's a whole other endeavor, I think. I don't think I'm going to start with an emu. My cats did tend to keep the rabbits out of the gardens, actually. They were pretty good about that. No, Squatch do not like dogs at all, from what I understand. Understandably so. Pretty vicious and fast predator. They could do a lot of damage to them that they wouldn't be able to fix. Makes sense why the dogs come back either scared senseless or in pieces most of the time, it seems, especially under the missing 411 cases. Are you familiar with David Politis and missing 411? If not, interesting group of cases there of missing persons. Yeah, I'm just too busy for dogs. I see the work and energy my friends put into dogs, but I mean, I love dogs. I just don't have the time and energy for it. Cats were easy, you know. I could feed them, and like when they wanted some lap time, I'd give them some lap time and cuddle with them. But I didn't have to constantly keep an eye on them. I just can't. I got too many other things. I got too many things going on already. I try to go garlic, but can't get bulbs. No winter. Ah, yes, you can. You can force winter them. Look up garlic. Garlic cooling degree days dormancy, something like that. Do a search on that in Google. You can actually you could harvest the garlic and put it in a certain amount of cold for a certain period of time. I think it's 28 degrees or the equivalent of 28 degrees for 30 days, something like that, and that actually will spawn the garlic to split and create bulbs the following season. In fact, if you check out my channel, you go under garlic critical points of influence, I have a whole video on the life cycle of garlic. You should check that out. That would help you get a win there. 411 and Hoopa project. I'm not familiar with Hoopa, I don't think. Oh, my cats were outdoor cats. No feral cats here now. Used to be. None now. Once in a while they would get in a fight with my cats. That was always an ongoing aggravation. But yeah, 401 Hoopa. I'll have to check out the Hoopa project. I don't think I'm familiar with that. 17 years. He passed 4 to 5 years ago, and I haven't had the heart to get another. Yeah, me too. I had 2 cats, Clone and Dios, and I had them for almost 16 years, 15 years, and man, they both passed within about 6 months, and I hadn't had the heart to get another cat since either. So I hear you, Geeky. I miss my cats though, man. I still visit their grave pretty regular, and yeah, I miss them. Yes, dogs have masters, cats have servants. So true. So true. They know how to stay in charge. They wear the tails, so to speak. Yeah, fridge would probably work better for you, Geeky Gardens. I would maybe even try 60 days. But 30 might be enough. Or even 45. Just extend it a little longer. Hoopa project is Squatch. Okay, okay. I'll have to check that out. I may have stumbled across that and just don't remember it specifically as that. Toby was a dog. You're a servant to several neighborhood cats. Yeah, my friend Dave has a theory that cats are actually aliens, and that's how they're taking over the planet, by making us their servants. He can go on for 10 minutes about it. It's pretty funny. Cats think they are dogs. Yeah, my cats had a little bit of that in them too. They were a lot of fun. There's a couple of videos of my cats on my YouTube channel here. All rescue critters, nice. My cat's actually okay, okay, good, Geeky. My cat's actually the day my brother died, we went over to tell my girlfriend at the time's mother that he had died, and her cat had kittens, and so these 2 kittens were from there, and one of them, Cloney, the gray cat, came up as we were telling him, and I was crying and distraught, and sat right on my boot and looked up at me, and you know, basically installed himself into my life like a virus. So we brought him home like a week or 2 later, and every time we'd leave the house to go to work, he'd be crying. So then we brought his brother Dios home, and they turned out to be 2 of the best friends I ever had. They were just excellent. They really helped me through a lot of really hard times early in my life. I've had lots of cats over my life though. When I was a kid, we always had all different cats. My first cat, Chirk, when I was really young, got hit by a car. We lost a lot of cats to cars because my parents live on a main roadway. Yes, I was selected. Yes, Geeky. That's right. That is exactly the way they work. You don't pick a cat, they pick you. It's a lot like women. You don't pick them, they pick you. Yeah, animals are great. After my cats died, I had just gotten the chickens like, I think that year actually, or maybe the year before. And I remember coming back up from Barry and Cloney, and and kind of going into the chicken coop and like, well, they're animals, you know, there's still some kind of companionship. But I also remember thinking, it's not the same. A mat to your home? Ah, there probably is. They probably just got it posted in cat language and we don't understand it or recognize it. I wonder if cats talk Squatch. Okay, Darlene's Garden Channel. There's time different. 8:30 p.m. But it's your bedtime. Hey, if it's your bedtime, it's your bedtime. No problem. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for Squatch eat cat. They might very well eat cat. That would not surprise me one bit. Anyway, have a good night. Thanks for checking in, Darlene. It's great having you join the conversation. I hope you have a good night and an excellent growing season. Hopefully we'll see you back here. I'll be doing a lot more live streams. We'll be diving into some deeper topics as time goes on here. Yeah, Geeky Gardens, they do know where the folks are that'll accept them. A friend of mine, another amateur radio guy, has 25 cats, I think. He's in an old trailer park, and all the people who move in abandon their cat and move out. The cats go over to his place, and he takes them in as pets. He's literally got like 25 or 30 cats that he feeds, and they come in and out of his place at will. Really good guy. I don't know if I could handle 30 cats. That's a lot of cats, but he manages it okay. Bye, Darlene. Good night. Well, so I guess you guys know a little bit more about me. Any other questions or comments or thoughts? You're retired, Geeky Gardens? No, you're not supposed to be going to bed. You're supposed to stay up with me all night, and we'll build computers and Raspberry Pis and trade ideas, and people can call us crazy. What do you think? You game? How many chickens? Let's see. 7 in one flock and 5 in the other. Yes, I run redundant flocks, like redundant hard drives, like redundant computers, like redundant everything I can run redundant. Including chickens. +35 years programming for a living. That's a lot of code. Yes, limited income stinks. I'm not retired, but I'm on very limited income, and it does stink. It definitely limits your options. But I have to say, I think you can be just as happy on limited income if you're realistic about what you want out of life, and if you stay focused on enjoying the journey of life and not being worried about having a McMansion and 3 sports cars. And I see a lot of people that are rich and they're not happy. But yeah, limited income stinks, especially if you're retired. It's hard when especially when you're working against the inflation, not just the regular inflation, but the true inflation where the cost of everything continues to go up, your income doesn't change, and then the value of the money is going down at the same time. If you really look at that, it's actually a much worse curve than we're told statistically. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, my income went way down. I used to work for a surveyor engineer, and then the 2008 market crunch came, and people stopped building houses, construction dried up, engineering and surveying jobs dried up. I got laid off. I started farming, but then I had to move from the old farm. I've been through a lot of reboots, so to speak. Oh, that was Geeky that said that. I'm sorry, Geeky. But anyway, yeah. So then I also have child support obligations on top of that. Who took my license and threatened to throw me in jail if I didn't pay immediately a couple times. I don't know how you're supposed to pay them if you can't find work and can't get to work because they took your license, but whatever. 25%, I get creative. Yeah, I'm probably at maybe 20%, somewhere in there, of what I was making back when I had a good job. I work part-time, mostly just that job basically just pays child support, and then I have another part-time job that just kind of covers living expenses. Other than that, I'm pretty SOL. But that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to up my game. Just haven't figured out how to make a lot of money at it yet, but I think that'll come in time. Yeah, I spent the last probably 20 years learning to grow and preserve and cook food and all that sort of stuff, and I've refined it a lot in the last well, 10 or 11 since I was laid off. I got a lot more time to spend on research and learning and practice. You know, overall, I think it's been good for me. Yeah, I don't need much either. I don't need much either. Enough to eat, keep the insurance paid, you know, basics. I got enough going on in my head. I don't need to go out and buy all kinds of stuff to do. There's too much going on up here. Cook for the critters and grow for you all. Awesome, awesome. That's so critical. So many people feed their cats and dogs just like canned garbage food, and then they wonder why they gotta go to the vet all the time. Yeah, that healthy food's the trick. So what's the majority of what you grow? Both Geeky and Dem, what do you guys grow? What's your primary crops? What do you do really well on? What do you eat most of? I love growing and preserving my own food. I actually miss making sauces and salsas and that kind of stuff. I don't have a good kitchen space or canning setup space for it. Did a bunch of batches of salsa 2 years ago. Might be 3 now. I think it was 2016, because I had excess stuff that I didn't have a market for. Made, what did I make, 100 pints of salsa, I think. Sold some to friends in my amateur radio club and stuff. Just, you know, a jar here, a jar there to help cover costs and stuff. But I love doing that. I love making something with the food I grow. I'd love to do I actually looked into using an FDA canning facility back at the other farm I was on to do it on a bigger scale, but it's really expensive upfront cost, and then you got to have buyers for everything. So you need a way to front the money and float it, and I don't believe in banks, so I don't do that. I don't do loans, I don't do credit cards. If I can't do it, I don't need it. Tomatoes, beans, peas, carrots, beets, onions, celery, and herbs. Nice, that's a good mix. Yeah, I'm sure Missouri is different. Longer growing season, so that's nice. Are you excited about a longer growing season? That's one thing I would love to have, a longer growing season. That's a big part of why I always think about, the South wouldn't be so bad. And then I think of the gators and the squash, and I'm like, I don't know. Collards and other greens, peppers, and keep trying peppers and tomatoes. Some sugar cane. Oh, sugar cane. I've never done that. I've thought about it, but I've never done that. Ginger, turmeric, sweet potatoes, and regular potatoes. Yes, awesome, awesome. Most of that stuff I grow too. I've been doing experiments with ginger for a few years, and I actually might scale that up this year to more of a production level I love growing my own ginger. I love eating my own fresh ginger. And since no one else grows ginger around here fresh, I think that's a killer market I could hit. I think the local chefs that I work with would love that. So I may scale that up. Collards I've never done. I should probably add that to my list. I haven't done a lot of greens. I tend to do longer fruiting and flowering crops, though I have to go back and kind of get myself masters on greens. Regular potatoes experiments. You did get a dehydrator. Pests and weeds are unreal. Ah, pests and weeds. Weeds, mulching can help you a lot on that. I don't know what type of farming and garden do you do. I don't know if you till or you mulch or what your perspective is. I have a dehydrator too. I have a 160 liter Cabela's dehydrator. That works great, but it draws a lot of current, and I actually want to build a wood stove / solar powered dehydrator, kind of a takeoff on a rocket stove, but that's a whole nother project. Anyway, pests can pretty much be eliminated with the right trace mineral nutrition. You should look into Advancing Eco Agriculture. They have a YouTube channel, and they have a video on the plant health pyramid that would get you started on how to deal with that without chemicals or pesticides. That's key, and that will also help as you get your soil health up at reducing weed problems, because the soil profile changes and the weeds are really there to rebuild soil for other plants to come in usually. So you can beat them out by changing the soil profile, by changing the soil mineral profile and the biology. And believe it or not, it's easier to do than you think it is, and you can actually use the plants with foliar feeds to accelerate that process tremendously. So check out, I have a couple of videos on foliar feeding that'll introduce you to the concept, and check out Advancing Eco Agriculture. Let me see if I can just pull their pull that video right up for you, and I'll drop a link for you, because that's an excellent one. Yep, there it is. Copy link. Droppy link. Copy droppy. Yeah, in Florida everything turns into an insect or an overgrown grass or tree, right? Oh, walking sticks are cool. I haven't caught any of those on video yet. I'll have to get the camera out next time I come across one of them. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I'll bet she freaked out though. It's a freaky thing. I remember the first time I saw one, I was like, what is that? I thought that was a stick. Why is it moving? Yeah, they're pretty cool. Glowworms are pretty cool too, if you've never seen them. I think they're like the nymph stage of a firefly. You're welcome, Deb. Yeah, check that out. That'll get you pointed in the right direction. And also check out, I have a playlist on foliar feeds. Maybe I'll dig that up for you quick too. Where is it here? Foliar feeds. There you go. Yeah, this will help you too. Leaf hoppers. Yeah, leaf hoppers. Okay, so that sounds like excess nitrogen and probably low in either a combination of, or possibly all of the above or all the below. Molybdenum is a big one, because that helps regulate excess nitrogen in plants, and then also phosphorus, calcium, and potassium, and those three interact with each other. See more from Advancing Eco Agriculture about that. John Kemps could explain that a lot better in a lot more detail than I can. I understand the concept, but he's a really good agronomist, really good scientist. He really knows his manure backwards and forwards, so to speak. Also, other resources that are excellent. NOFA Mass is the YouTube channel. NOFA M-A-S-S, NOFA Mass. They do a lot of organic nutrition conferences. In fact, they do a nutrition conference every year, usually in January, and that's what turned me on to the trace mineral nutrition, foliar feeds, biology, and all the upper level organic based stuff. It also turned me on to the real true hazards of pesticides and chemical fertilizers that the general public is not really aware of yet. I think in the next 20 years, our farming systems are going to change dramatically between foliar feeds and the recognition of chemicals and their effects on plants, animals, and humans, negative effects. Same with the chemical fertilizers. And then on top of that, we have economic pressures, and we have AI and robots coming out. Going to be an interesting 20 years. Slugs and squash bugs cover everything. Yeah, they're such a pain. That can be addressed with trace mineral nutrition too. I think squash bugs and beetles like that, I think those are third level. I think they're third or maybe even be fourth level on the plant health pyramid. So you got to get your plant health up really good to beat them, but they can be beat. In the meantime, what was I reading on companion planting on that? Squash bugs, I think, well, I know dill is one, but there was another one that I read that I was surprised to see. I think it was cilantro. So maybe companion plant cilantro and dill with your squash and cucumbers. That should help knock those guys down. Slugs are tough, although firefly larvae eat slugs, and we have tons of fireflies around here, but they're also a problem sometimes. You know what works well for slugs is diatomaceous earth and wood ashes, but you got to be careful with the wood ashes because you don't want too much potassium because that'll screw up the soil balance. So that can be tricky. There's something else I read about slugs and I forget what it was now. Nasturtiums, yes, nasturtiums are good for that. That's right. Yeah, interplant nasturtiums. They're beautiful and they're edible, flower and leaf both. They make an excellent addition to salads if you like peppery stuff. I have nasturtiums in the greenhouse that I keep going year round actually. I love them. I love eating the flowers. Your cilantro bolts as soon as it comes up. Probably try and find a different seed source. I gotta see if I still have any of my slow bolt cilantro that my breeder friend hooked me up with. That stuff is super long before it bolts. If I do, maybe I'll shoot you some seed, but I gotta see if I can find it and if it germinates anymore. I can't keep up with everything. Quarter pound of seeds, never ate nasturtiums. You bought a quarter pound of nasturtium seeds, Deb? Or cilantro? I assume you mean nasturtiums. That'll get you a good bit. Nasturtiums. Okay. Yeah, the little brains, they look like little brains. Yeah, the heat doesn't help. That really does cause a lot of bolting. I don't know what you could do for that unless you can maybe shade them a bit and run cool water down a channel underneath them or something, but that's a tricky environmental shift to push. I guess you could grow it in the winter. It's pretty cold tolerant. Of course, that doesn't fix it in the summer, does it? Yeah, nasturtiums. I got you, Deb. Slugs so big you thought it was baby snakes. Wow. Any idea what kind of slug they are? Those are huge. You know what works good for slugs if you want any sort of livestock is ducks. Ducks are excellent for slugs. They'll actually eat them. Or if you got big ones, boy, that's a heck of a protein source for your ducks. And then you get nice duck eggs out of it. And then you can make some wicked custards if you like that sort of thing. Oh, duck and goose custard, goose egg custard. Oh, shade cloth helps some do fall crops in winter. And you want to move north, come on up. Come on up. No foul in town. Oh, you're in town. Oh, so you got all that zoning garbage. Yeah, one of the closest small cities to me, Kingston, actually just made a ruling a year or two ago. No one's allowed to have chickens in the town of Kingston, or the town of Ulster, whatever it is. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, if you're a taxpayer and you own land, it's kind of crazy that you can't, you know, grow your own eggs. But then that's why I don't want to live in a city. So, but that sucks. Yeah, it's ignorant. Yeah, they tried to say that someone's kid got sick because of the chickens. Well, what was he, eating chicken poop? Come on. Mid-Arkansas, there you go. A little north, but not too cold. Good call. I'll meet you halfway. I'll meet you halfway. That's right, you were born in Michigan. I forgot about that. Lots of YouTube in Arkansas, yeah. You know, somewhere a while back I came across a website where you could search up, I'm sure it's probably still around, you could search up YouTube videos by their location. That was interesting to see who else was YouTubing around me at the time. I haven't been back to look in a long time. I should go back and check that out. Be curious who else is nearby now. Yeah, Michigan veggies. There's a YouTube channels I follow. I think it's Michigan Gardener or something like that. He's in Michigan. Does a lot of good videos on gardening. Ordinance against chickens, but if nobody complains, we don't look for them. Yeah, I know, but that's like, it's only a matter of time before somebody complains. It's a shame they're turning neighbor against neighbor and family against family. Everybody's ready to turn you in at the slightest thing. A friend of mine lives over in Woodstock, New York. He lives way up on Overlook Mountain. He's got like 2 neighbors, and they're a good 500 to 1,000 feet from him. And his zoning doesn't let him have chickens. He used to have chickens, and he had to get rid of them because of zoning. Michigan Gardener, yeah. Yeah, okay, good. You know him too then. Yeah. Yeah, he drills down into each plant variety pretty well and goes into some good detail. He's excellent. I haven't seen any of his videos recently. I think I subscribed to so many other channels in recent months that it's getting pushed down the list or something. Seriously thinking of moving. Your greenhouse you would miss. Luke at Michigan Gardener. Yep, that's him. I would miss my greenhouse too, but hey, you can always build another one. You can build a nicer one. A bigger one. Yeah. I always want to build a bigger one. Oh, you wanted to go to Woodstock, but Mom said 12 was too young to hitch to New York. It probably was too young to hitch to New York. That might not have worked out as well as you'd hoped. Excuse me. My older brother took me to Woodstock '94. I think I was about 14 or 15 at the time. That was awesome. His friend had a friend who had a nice place up on Overlook Mountain that we stayed at with a waterfall, spring, and a pool overlooking all of Saugerties. So we went up there, we stayed over, we snuck into the Woodstock '94 concert, and wow, that was a wild scene. Old Windows 8x16 with an 8x8 potting shed. That's a nice little setup, though. I want to switch mine over to glass. I have most of the windows for it, but I got to take the time to do the infrastructure. Yeah, I'm young. 42, I think. Just a youngin'. Hopefully that means I have time, right? Yeah, I have a bunch of windows here. A friend gave me a bunch, and I picked up a bunch along the road, and I got some from other friends, and I got a stack that's ready to go. I just got to, I even have the wood. I just have to do the framework and put them in. Not something I can do in the winter, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I could, but it's a lot more complicated that way. I think I'm going to try and do some upgrades over the summer. We'll see how things go. Geeky always has extra windows because he doesn't use it. Plenty of time. I hope so. You never know, man. It could end tomorrow. I always envisioned my brother and I growing old together and our parents passing away when I was younger. Just always how I thought it would play out. But yeah, you never know. You could wake up tomorrow and it's over. You could wake up and you're in a different dimension or world or universe or who knows. All I know is we got to make the most of the time we have here. I look back and I wonder, where did 42 years go? It went so fast. When you're younger, you're always looking forward to being older. And I think when you're older, you're always looking backward to being younger. Kind of a perspective shift, you know? Well, let's see. What's the greenhouse doing? Let me just add another source quick here. 4 heart attacks? My God. Wow. But you're still here and kicking. That's awesome. You're 20 years ahead of me, Geeky? Yeah, you still got plenty of time. Or is it video capture, window capture? I'm still getting used to this software. Scene video. Display, there it is. Add existing. Okay, create new. Monitor 2. Let you guys have a look at the greenhouse here. The chart. Relatively warm out tonight, so I've only stoked once so far. In fact, I didn't even start up till about 9, a little after 9. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Let me scale it up for you. So that was 1 stoke. The top chart is the thermal mass, banks 1 and 2, and then total on top. The bottom chart is everything from stove to outside temperature to stove exhaust temperature to water temperature from the ram pump to humidity, and then both thermal masses, average temperature, plus the average temperature of both thermal masses, plus the difference in temperature between greenhouse and thermal mass or something, and then also the coil out on the heat pump. So that's a little taste of what you can do with Raspberry Pi and databases, geeky. I'm sure if you've been coding for 35 years, you can know how to set up databases, so that part should be pretty easy for you. And then I have a whole course on Raspberry Pi's, I think it's 11 or 12 part video series on how to set up your Pi for monitoring temperature controls and set up a database for it and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking into that, yeah, pretty cool, huh, Deb? You can make one of these yourself. It's a $35 computer board. Sensors are about $2 a piece, except the humidity sensor, that's about 10. Mine's solar powered, so it was a little more expensive. That was an upgrade I added later on, but I always wanted. And it's nice, now when power goes down, I still am logging data and I can look at charts and see what's going on. Yeah, MySQL. Yep. Yep, MySQL server. Oh, how does that work? Also running PHP, so I can serve it out to web pages. At some point I gotta get back and figure out how to pull data from the database and use probably JavaScript to convert that to charts. And then I want to do all web page served charts. Right now I'm using a program called MySQL Dashboards. You can get it for Linux, Mac, or Windows. It's free download. Won't keep your memory settings unless you pay the $50 for the lifetime license, but I just save them in a text file and pump them back in if I have to restart the computer. Works excellent. That's the chart you're looking at right now. That's from MySQL Dashboards. But I really want to do this all web page so it can be served out via web page. A lot of experience with web servers and stuff. Used to have my own forum. Was even secured with HTTPS. Yeah, on the Pi. Yep. Yeah, I treat it just like a Linux server, basically. It's a cheap, small, low power consumption Linux server. Draws like 5 to 8 watts, depending on what you're doing. 10 max. Jim Lee. I'm not familiar with him. I'll have to check him out. Jim Lee. Is he on YouTube? Anyway, so that's the Raspberry Pi chart. I won't bore you with that for forever, but I thought you might find it interesting. Whoops. Whoops. I wiped out my video. I grabbed the wrong one. Video capture. Add existing. My bad. Here we go. Transition. Display captures what I wanted to wipe out. Yes. There we go. Yes, on YouTube. Okay. Jim Lee. I'll have to check him out. There's another guy, Engineer. What is he? Engineer Man or something like that. He does a ton of Linux type stuff. He's excellent. I can't remember his exact channel name. I keep wanting to say Engineer 775, but he does solar and off-grid stuff. He's an excellent channel too if you've not seen his stuff. And while I'm on the subject, another guy who does some really cool stuff, including wood gasifiers and generators running on wood gasifiers and that kind of stuff, is Mr. Teslonian. If you've never seen either of those channels, they're well worth checking out. But I can't remember this other guy's name, Engineer something. Probably come up with him if you search it. Let me see if I can find him. I got Google in front of me. Engineer Man. Okay. Did have it right. Engineer Man. I'll drop you a link on his channel. He's pretty cool. A lot of cool Linux stuff. So yeah, let's see, Geeky Gardens. MySQL database, everything is logged using Python. You just connect from Python to the database and log it. The temperature control scripts currently run just Python direct, and they read the sensors separately from the database logging software. That way if a sensor goes down, I don't lose everything. I only lose what the sensors I'm reading are. And eventually I want to port that over to probably be a PHP driven web page. I probably have to use JavaScript for the charting. You might know better than me on that. Maybe there's a better way to do that. But then I'll port everything out from the database and chart it from there. Gather all Mr. Thessalonian vids for later consumption. Yeah, he does some excellent stuff. Interesting dude. 775 hasn't done a whole lot of stuff from recently. He did do one cool one up in Vermont where he used some new DC high current capacity charge capable batteries. North Star batteries, I think they are. That one's definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen that one. A lot of his other stuff is live. He's just kind of showing off grid panels and installs he's done. But he's a really knowledgeable dude and really friendly guy, nice guy. Jim Lee is about climate change. Oh, okay. I'd be interested to hear his perspective on that. While we're on the topic, what do you think about climate change, Deb? Do you think most of it's human-made, or do you think the climate goes through changes on its own and we're just experiencing them? Do you think it's a combination? I always like to hear people's perspective on that. So anyway, Geeky, probably eventually go to all webpage stuff. Too much human tampering. Yeah. Like chemtrails. Chemtrails, and then of course now they want to do the carbon tax, right? So everyone has to pay a tax for breathing. Yeah, if it was only chemtrails, I know. Chemtrails, are you familiar with HAARP? High Frequency Audio Auroral Research Program? Yeah, I think it's a little of both myself too, Geeky, but I tend to think it's more, well, I think we're doing a lot of manipulation stuff, and so I don't know what effect that has on the total system, but I don't think it's a good thing to be doing. Yep. EMF, yep. Yep. Okay, so it sounds like you're familiar with HAARP, Deb. Are you familiar with HAARP, Geeky? I understand that was turned over to a university or some private company or something like that a few years ago. Before that it was under government. Government, or rather. Yeah, but I think if you look at the core samples, yeah, every time we try to play God, it doesn't end well. Exactly. Leave it alone. HAARP and California fires. Yes, I've also heard some theories. I have nothing really confirmed, but I've heard some theories that they use directed energy weapons on that stuff too. I don't know. I don't think those fires are just natural. I think there were other influences there, for sure. Yeah, okay, you're familiar with it too. Yeah. Not good. I've been watching that for a while now. It really amazes me when you try to explain to people the difference between a chemtrail and a contrail, and they'll sit there and deny it. No, 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 that's just water vapor. No. That's not how it works. Yes, there are some contrails. There are also some chemtrails. There is also HARP. There is also directed energy weapons. There is so many things going on. And then did you see in the paper recently the power company there? Was it Pacific Electric and Gas? Just basically admitted fault on that campfire fire, and then now they're filing bankruptcy so no one can sue them. Nice. Yeah, contrails dissipate because they're water vapor, and chemtrails stick around for forever because they're microparticles of God knows what. Yeah, yeah, taking pictures and going, oh, how beautiful. Interesting correlation there. Lots of parallel lines, lots of crossing lines. Yeah, we can see them here. You know, you'll see a rain prediction, and then a couple days or even as short as 24 hours before, you'll see the grid going over of the high altitude jets. And then this haze kind of descends on you, and then the rain comes in. Makes me wonder if we ever get any natural rain anymore. Part of why I try to drink only spring water. I figure at least it's been through the ground and had some degree of washing. Wow, she just missed it, huh, Geeky? Yeah. I saw a video of some people who didn't make it out of that fire, and all I could think was, even a really hot forest fire doesn't leave nothing but ashes, not even bones. Something doesn't look right there to me. What it was specifically, I couldn't say, but it didn't look right. Well, sad that she had to evacuate, or was moving out, but glad she got out alive. Yeah, did she find anything but ashes? God, that's horrible. I can't imagine losing everything to a fire. Man. That's horrible. Yeah, it's just stuff, but man, you know, like, the things that would really bother me are like family pictures you could never get back, video you could never get back. For me, like, if I lost all my data and databases and years of research information, I mean, most of it's up here too, but man, just having to restart from scratch. Although I guess in some way it's like a fresh install. YouTube CEO is going to crack down on conspiracy theories. Yeah, they keep doing that. She had a house fire and lost all living critters. And she's going to crack down. Wow. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with her so far. I watch her videos from time to time. I don't know, I'm not impressed. I think YouTube's a great platform, but there's always room for improvement, right? You had a house fire too, Deb. Wow. Yeah. That's hard. I've never had a house fire, but I've seen fire get out of control. When I was younger, I was on our fire department. And then one year, a friend of mine and I were out testing some testing some rounds, and a spark actually set the grass on fire about 15 feet away from us, out of the end of the rifle, and we couldn't get to it fast enough to put it out. Could not believe how fast it went up. It burned about 1.5 acres of a field. It's a fallow field. Fortunately, nothing was really damaged, but it surprised us. Well, this has been a varied and interesting discussion. We're a little over 2 hours here. I think I'm going to go ahead and take care of some other things. I'd have to go and restoke the greenhouse fire. Forest fires come back. Yeah, there's a lot of preventative burning you could do to prevent that. The Indians used to selectively burn areas specifically for that and other reasons. Yeah, nature comes back. Sure does. Yep. Be careful when you start a fight with Mother Nature. She's gonna win. we keep picking battles with her that we're not prepared for. Slugs and weeds. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, the slugs are, man, there's something else that's amazing. You have slugs that big. It sucks you can't have ducks. That would be an easy solution to them. Also, they'll go into beer. You could put out containers of beer and they'll go into that. And then you could get them. You could salt them, but obviously you can't put too much salt down or you end up hurting your plants too. Put the nasturtiums down heavy. Yeah, and the cat food, yeah. They used to get in my cat food too. Yep. Frustrating. They're a tough one to beat. And they do a lot of damage fast. You know, you look at a slug and think they move so slow. But man, they get onto some new seedlings, they chew those leaves right up. Amazing. There's another one called like Sluggo. I think it's like potassium sulfate or something like that. It's supposed to be relatively non-toxic. Who knows if that's actually the case though. Lime does sweeten soil. I don't know if that would stop them. Lime is basically calcium. But it might be worth a try, and the lime wouldn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to put a little extra calcium on. Don't overdo it. I would do it early spring or really preferably late fall and give it time to settle in. Anything with calcium in it is going to react for the first couple weeks in the soil. Maybe an easier one for you, or one to mix with it, actually probably would be best, is lime and calcium sulfate or gypsum. If you have clay in your soil, the gypsum will flocculate the soil. The calcium will contribute to available calcium for plants and biology, and the sulfur will help facilitate a lot of those acid processes that need a little bit of electron donor. Calcium sulfate's an excellent one. I use that here. But you could mix that with lime, that might help. If you put down heavy wood ashes in the fall and let it settle out over the winter, that would work too. But I wouldn't do it this time of year. You'd mess up your soil balance probably. Gypsum, you should be able to get it at a local co-op or Agway maybe. If not, I'm not sure. Not sure without paying a lot of shipping where you would get it. check around your local garden farm supplies. Somebody, if they don't have it, could probably order it for you. It's not too expensive. I think here we get it, I think it's about 16 bucks for 40 pounds, and that's likely a Spoma, like, expensive brand. You can get cheaper stuff. I haven't been able to get it locally cheaper unless I pre-order way in advance or go through a lot of hassle, but it's well worth it. Dead slugs are always worth it. For sure. Or at least slugs that don't come around no more. Gotta put up a little sign. No slugs. Salting in progress. I don't know, you know. Well, thank you guys for supporting the Pharmacy Seeds Network. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a few other things, and I got another upload here I was going to push up on pruning and hormones and hormonal balance of plants, and I want to get that pushed up to the channel, and I've held it off because I was afraid it would interrupt my limited bandwidth for streaming. Oh, they probably do read the cat map. That's all you gotta do. You gotta get the cats to publish a new map. Ah, okay, good, Geeky Gardens. Yeah, soil chemistry. It's a deep topic. No, really though, there's a lot of complexities going on there. It's a really interesting thing to study. But the more you learn, the more the other pieces start to click together for you. But well worth studying. Check out some of that stuff from John Kempf. He's excellent, and Nofa Mass as well too. Those guys really go deep into soil chemistry and interactions and plant, soil, and microbe interactions. Yeah, super interesting topic. People, when I mention to somebody who's not familiar, you know, the soil chemistry, well, how complex can that be? It's just dirt, right? No. There's biology, there's chemistry, there's electron action, there's electromagnetic action, there's anions, there's cations, there's exchange rates, there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on there. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. How deep am I? At least 6 feet under. Ah, well thanks, Deb. Glad to be helpful. Hey, Mimsy, what's going on? What you doing? Better not let Home Study the Hard Way see this video. They'll think we're flirting again. Uh-oh. What are you doing, Mimsy? I saw your video. Was it earlier today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Nice. I'm glad you're taking care of your elders with good nutrition. Made a huge difference, didn't it? Yeah, I can't believe you're still up either. What are you doing up? Yeah, yesterday. Okay, I thought so. That was great. That's a nice space you got going there. Looking forward to your greenhouse plans. Yeah, herding electrons isn't too bad, Geeky. The rest is tricky. Yeah. You'll get it. You'll get it. Just a lot of different pieces to understand and then kind of integrate together. The main rules, I guess I would say the main rules are trace mineral nutrition is a huge part of it, and biology trumps all. Biology can do stuff that no matter what you add, if the biology isn't there, you can't use it. So it's about preserving and facilitating good biology and protecting that biology. So good mulches, good moisture. Everything that lives needs good moisture. And then protect from direct sunlight, which is either mulches or a good leaf canopy of growing plants. And then growing plants can build carbon and improve soil health and quality way more than you can do by actually directly affecting the soil in most cases. Good foliar feeds can really accelerate that process. Check out my video on garlic critical points of influence, and you'll see that soil where the garlic was shades and shades darker in 9 months or 10 months. Tremendous difference. Cancer in remission, but she's able to go for testing. Honestly, who needs a test when you can see massive improvement? Yeah, I hear you. I didn't realize she had cancer. Yeah, that's a hard one. What type of cancer does she have? Oh, a marine biology major until you discovered. That explains why you're into the turtles too. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's a good background to have. But if you were studying that, and I mean, really, let's face it, as intelligent as you are, you'll have no trouble picking it up. You just need the time to learn all the pieces and the right sources of information. There's a lot of misinformation out there because so many people are stuck on conventional farming, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides as the answer to things, and they just really don't understand the real soil system, soil plant system. The plant is the digestive tract. I'm sorry, the soil is the digestive tract of the plant, just like the digestive tract of a ruminant animal works. The biology has to be there. Abdominal mass intertwined in veins and arteries. Oh, wow. Yeah, see, you can't really target it with radiation or chemo, which usually doesn't work out well anyway. Yeah, nutrition is the ticket. Are you familiar with the Truth About Cancer series? They've got like 7 or 8 videos on fighting and beating cancer with natural methods, including Ayurvedic stuff. I think it's the Truth About Cancer, their YouTube channel. And every so often they open up their first like 7 or 8 main series videos about it. Excellent, excellent stuff that probably would help you a lot. I'm sure you've been studying on your own as well. That's one of those fights where you gotta bring all the forces together you can. Are you familiar with the anti-cancer properties of turmeric? Yep, chemo injections made it worse. Yep. Yep, and sugar and processed carbs are the big ones. Yeah, because sugars feed cancer. That's correct. Okay, lots of turmeric. That's good. What was the other one that I came across in that Truth About Cancer? Oh, it was cottage cheese, and it was a really strange one. I was very surprised, but it was cottage cheese and an oil. What kind of oil was it though? I can't remember the oil type now. She's allergic to vitamin C. Oh no. Allergic to vitamin C? When you say allergic, you mean she has like anaphylactic reaction to it, or allergic as in like bowels run way too much? Frankincense is a good one. Yes, that wasn't what they were using with the cottage cheese though. It was flaxseed oil, organic flaxseed oil. That was in that cancer series. I might have even written that down somewhere. Allergic rash. Oh man. Wow, vitamin C is a powerful one if it doesn't cause you other problems. I wonder if there's something else underlying that. Is she on meds? Any kinds of pharmaceutical stuff? Yeah, frankincense. There's a reason frankincense and myrrh, and those are in the Bible. Same with the olive. Are you familiar with olive leaf and the benefits of olive leaf? That actually probably would be a tremendously good one for her, especially if she can't do vitamin C. You know about olive leaf? Okay, so for like, I think it's like $9 or something like that. CBD oils, yes, CBD oils are excellent. Oh, you're an old hippie too, huh? Yeah, CBD oils are excellent, especially targeted the right way. You can enhance that with DMSO, but you got to be careful with DMSO. It's basically a universal solvent, even more so than water. It's great for reducing scar tissue and a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's a great way to act as a carrier to get like essential oils and that kind of stuff into every cell in the body. But that said, if you mistakenly dissolve a chemical or toxin into it, it'll carry those in too. So you got to be careful. Like, you don't wash your hands with soap and then have soap residue on them and then use DMSO and end up putting the soap into every cell. You see what I mean? So you got to be careful that way. Larry is better, but when I brought her home, it was 21 times a day, no exaggeration. Yeah, I heard you say that in the video the other day, and all I could think was, wow, that's like living in the bathroom. That's horrible. Olive oil and essential oils, etc. She's under pharmaceuticals, but way too many for too many years. Yeah, and they do a lot of damage. As many of those as you can get her off without hurting her or killing her would be good. But I know that you know, using one gives side effects, and then you need another and another and another and another. The olive leaf is worth looking into, though. Pretty inexpensive for mountain rose herbs. They're an excellent source, and like 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day has a tremendous effect on so many things. Look into olive leaf on your own agreement of her provider. Yep, good call. Yeah, you're doing everything you can, basically, right? So over-medicated. Yep, that's what they do. Big Pharma wants to get rich. Those execs need to go on flights and hang out at the beach. Infused butter. Ah, yes. Move to Oregon where it's okay. Yep. Yeah, that seems to work for a lot of people to get them off opiates. There's another one I've heard about for opiates. I think it's Ibogaine. I don't know much about it, but I know Joe Rogan's mentioned it several times. Oh, you have a storm there. What kind of storm? Oh, no, actually that was on my end. Am I still streaming? Thunderstorm, okay. Yeah, I had a disconnect here. Am I back? Looks like it. Okay. CBD Solve, yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, good, I'm here. Are you gonna scold me about smoking, Lindsay? If you don't, someone will. Well, it sounds like you're onto all the right things there, Mimsy. Keep up the good work. That's tough. That's a lot of stress and a lot to pay attention to for you. That's like having another full-time job on top of life. But it's excellent that you're caring for him like that. Oh, you're a nurse. Okay, I didn't realize that. And yeah, the majority of it is a falsehood. I mean, there are some excellent things like, you know, certain types of surgeries and technologies like that that are great. But for the most part, yeah, we're just killing people with chemicals. You look up the root word of pharmaceutical, it's basically poison. And the only difference between a drug and a poison is the dosing. retraining from all the garbage. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I've spent the last, I don't know, let's see, 6 or 7 years since I learned about all that. Well, I knew about the pharma stuff a little more earlier on, but I've learned a lot more since, and yeah, I've retrained too. A whole different perspective of things. Once you realize you have to look at living systems as a whole, and not just try to reduce down to one thing, it changes that whole perspective altogether. Yep, teach you everything backwards. Yep, we're on the same point. Yeah, I didn't realize how much in-depth knowledge you had till I saw your video the other day, and I realized you're on to a lot of the same stuff I am. Yeah, you're right. History isn't even taught correctly. Yep. Treat the root cause, not the symptoms. Stop putting a band-aid on a cut that keeps growing. Same thing with soil and plants. Same deal. Insects and disease are symptoms of sick plants, which are symptoms of sick soil. And they interact with each other. They're a system together. Right, exactly. All pharmaceuticals come from nature originally. And really they're just taking natural substances and either enhancing them or synthesizing them and then patenting them and then charging us a fortune to make us sick. And at the end of the day, they're masking symptoms, not dealing with root causes. Yeah, me too, Mimsy. I just didn't realize you had as much depth of knowledge. That's awesome. I'm so glad to see other people with that. It's so frustrating sometimes talking to people, you know, because I want to share with them and explain to them, but you have to build this whole background foundation of understanding before you can even have a conversation with them. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure if we got to do a conversation, you'd be way above my head in other spots too. We all have our fortes. But don't worry, I'll throw you a line and pull you up, keep you above water. Anything you want to know, I'm glad to, you know, don't hesitate to ask. I'm more than happy to share my knowledge with you or anyone else. That's why I started this channel. I wanted to share knowledge, good knowledge with people. Yeah, that's right. They don't want us well. They want us on that insurance plan, and they want to keep collecting. And the sicker we are, the more they collect. Yeah, most people don't listen. Or they'll listen to you and then they'll say, you know, they'll come out with some crap they've been sold and, you know, just try to like shoot down what you're saying, and I don't waste any more time on, okay. I just, you know, move on. I'm not gonna waste my breath. If you're not open to learning, I'm not gonna waste my time. I'll teach somebody who wants to know. Oh, the technological thing. Yeah, I have a lot of technical background, for sure. Yeah, you probably would go way over my head medical any day. I do have some training. I was an EMT years back, but certainly not anything to your level. Yeah, it is a political guessing game. Well, it's almost a pawn for politics, right? I mean, the whole healthcare thing with Obama there. You know, you're gonna have to pay a fine if you don't buy insurance. Wait a minute. How is that helping anyone? Yeah, wellness, absolutely, and you know, modern medicine likes to brag about how people are living longer, but they're not talking about the quality of health. Living longer and being sick for the last 20, 30, 40 years, that's not an improvement. I'd rather be dead than live sick every day. Really. I told my kids, you know, if I can't take care of myself, just take me out back, plant me, grow tomatoes, turn me into nutrition. Don't waste it anymore. Maybe that's morbid, but you know. Yeah, we do. We need to handle things from the bottom. I'm hoping that, I mean, I like I like our Constitution here in the United States, and I like the perspective of that. But I think it's time to go from a top-down structure like we have in place now. We have the technology now with crypto capabilities and internet and all that sort of stuff to literally vote on every topic or every major topic. Each person could vote on it. We don't have to have representatives anymore. Our technology's evolved past that. I wonder when our political systems, if ever, will evolve past that. It's going to be a long fight, I think. Yeah, emergency care is excellent. And same with, like, for someone who loses a limb, the prosthetic technology that's come out is amazing. And for someone who takes severe trauma, where you can replace that part that otherwise they would just be missing the rest of their life, yeah, there are some awesome benefits there. But yeah, that's really the only thing I see that's beneficial too. Yes, what you eat heals or kills. Yeah, our bodies are created to respond from stress. The body is a self-healing system. That's right. What you eat heals or kills. If you're eating medicinal foods, good foods, natural foods, you're healing. You're building your body up. If you're eating processed foods laden with chemicals and pesticides and additives, you're tearing your body down. And all you gotta do is look around our society and you can see it. It's obvious. A lot of sick people. A lot of people that think they're healthy because they're eating. And they don't even know. And the sad part is, once you understand the pervasive pesticide in our food supply, you realize just how pandemic it is. I mean, like glyphosate, for example. Glyphosate is a trace mineral chelator. Its primary mode of action for killing plants, it locks up trace minerals, primarily manganese and zinc. And that's how it kills plants. It actually takes manganese and zinc out, and then plants can't produce complete proteins, and they die because they can't protect themselves from the environment. So in the human body, manganese and zinc are very high concentrations in eyes, brain, heart, liver, kidneys, all those critical organs. So you got all this glyphosate in our food supply, and actually they've even found glyphosate in remote areas in rain samples, so it's pervasive in the environment. So now we're all consuming glyphosate. It's locking up manganese and zinc. And what are we having trouble with? Let's see. We got heart attacks, we have cancers, we have eye problems, we have brain degeneration. Well, it's in the food supply. Has a prosthetic leg, crushed by a log tree when he was 23. He's 79 now. Worked circles around me until he was 70. Yeah, those old timers really, man, they were amazing. That must have been a traumatic injury. Man. Yeah, I'm super careful out here on the farm. I'm always deathly afraid of that. Yep, leaching from pesticides in food and water. It ends up in the soil, it ends up in the plants metabolize it, the animals eat the plants and metabolize it, we eat the animals and the plants and metabolize it, and as you go up the food chain, it concentrates. It's a mess. It's a damn mess. And the sad part is it's not a mess that we're not doing anymore. We're still doing it in mass quantities. If you look at like the glyphosate usage map for the United States, oh my God, it's overwhelming. It's sickening. And that's just one pesticide. It's supposed to be the safest pesticide on the market. If that's the safest, what's the worst, and what does that do? Yes, yes, and yes, Mimsy. Yes. And so we forge forward to educate others. We'll teach them one way or another. You'll either learn or die trying, right? I know. I give a whole lecture on pesticides and light another cigarette. Yeah, they probably do think we're overzealous nuts, but you look into the science and, that's real. That's real stuff. They don't know, they don't listen. That's true. That's so true, Deb. It's so frustrating. It took me a good 10 years to get my parents to really start to listen. And I think they're really only just coming around now. My dad just changed his diet a couple months ago, or at least he had. I don't know if he's held it. But he's starting to understand that things a little better. Yeah, no, we have to keep trying or all is lost. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think long term we'll overcome. I don't grow my own tobacco now. I did a couple years ago. The problem I had was curing. I did not have a greenhouse at the time. Yeah, it's hard to get parents to listen. They don't want to listen to their kids for some reason. It's hard to hear it from your kids, I guess. I try to listen to my kids. They tell me something, I try to pay attention to it and go check it out. I mean, the least you could do is listen and go look it up for yourself, right? But my parents won't do that. They won't do the research. Anyway, I did grow my own tobacco, but I couldn't, I know you're just messing with me, but I really did. I really did grow my own tobacco. They were massive, beautiful plants. We had a huge, huge harvest one year, and I didn't have a place to keep them warm enough to dry and cure them, and they molded on me. I was pretty disappointed. I haven't been back to it since, but it was you or somebody else in the live stream the other night asked about it, and it's got me back onto it. I have a ton of tobacco seed that I've held in reserve, and I might have to go start some of those in the greenhouse soon, because I'd love to grow tobacco again. Even if I don't smoke it, it's a beautiful plant to grow, and it's tremendously beneficial for soil under organic programs, of course. I mean, look at all those huge leaves. Those are solar panels. Massive, massive solar panels. And it's this huge root structure, much like a tomato. Excellent soil builders. Yeah, if it's available to buy, it must be safe, because the FDA approved it, right? And then you look at the revolving door between Monsanto and the FDA and Bayer and GlaxoSmithKline and yada, yada, yada. And then you realize there's a good... not meme, but like an image on the net. If you look up revolving door Monsanto FDA, you'll see all the people that are CEO and then on the board and then on CEO and board and back and forth. Yeah. Oh, it wasn't you. Okay, but now that I have a greenhouse, go for it. I'm glad you guys are reminding me. This is the right time of year to remind me I need to be starting seeds for that in the next, well, as soon as greenhouse water flow comes back, hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, me too, Geeky Gardens. My mom was onto a lot of things. There were a lot of things she wasn't aware of. She's been more open about it than my dad. More open to learning about it than my dad. My dad has been, oh, BLM, don't get me started. Yeah, but my mom does too. My dad, not as much. My mom's the one that started me on gardening when I was a kid. She's the one that got me into it, and it's her family's side of the family that had all the farms back in the day. My grandfather and my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather, going back on that side, were all farmers. Yes, it is great for pest control. Yep. It does get a lot of aphids, though, if you don't get the nutritional balance right. When you're growing it, at least, but not as a pest control, of course. Oh yeah, hit her up. Find out what kind of seed she has. Let's see, I have Montcalm, Maryland, Virginia, Oklahoma Mennonite, and there's one other, I can't remember the name. 4 or 5 different varieties, I think. Yes, it has very sticky leaves, resiny leaves, as you might say, Geeky Gardens. You old hippies will know what I'm talking about. One was a non-smokable and one was a smokable. Oh, one was like a nicotinian or something. You know, that's the other thing. Tobaccos, they've actually selected tobacco strains that are lower in nicotine so that people will smoke more cigarettes. The shaman use tobacco, but they use a very high, I think it's 17% nicotine. I think most cigarette tobaccos are 2 to 3% nicotine. But they actually get visuals on it and all sorts of other psychedelic effects when they smoke it. I don't get any psychedelic effects out of my cigarettes, but it definitely accelerates neuron action. You know, nicotine works in the human body. Nicotine actually accelerates the calcium dump where nerve nodes come together. And so that's why you can think better when you have more nicotine in your system. And nicotine actually is not cancer causing, it's actually the tobacco smoke more so. And actually, these days, it's even more the chemicals than it is the actual smoke. Yeah, sugar, yep. Yeah, among other things, including like shea butter and like put all this weird stuff in if you watch how they make commercial cigarettes. These are just tobacco. Straight, I buy tobacco in tubes and I make my own. I have a machine. Yeah, the cigarettes changed tremendously. I can't even smoke an over-the-counter cigarette anymore. Like I can't even get a drag out of it. It makes me sick. This is the machine. These are the empty tubes. They just go on. Do this one-handed on there. You pack tobacco in here and you crank it, kaboom, and you get a cigarette out of it. And use Farmer's Gold tobacco. It's about $10 a bag, so I can make a carton of cigarettes for about 14, 15 bucks. Most people are something. Screw that camera. Stay. I said stay. That's a bad camera. How's that? A little high. Huh? There we go. Oh, top. The old top smokes. Yeah, I don't need the psychedelic effects either. Although I am interested to try that at some point. More out of curiosity. Actually, more out of curiosity about spiritual stuff. That's a whole other topic. Enough of that as a teen, huh? Let me see. You're in your 60s, you were a baby boomer. Were you playing with shrooms or LSD? Yeah, the old top cigarettes. They still sell the top tobacco, and actually Top makes that machine, I think, now that you mention it. That was the better machine. They make a hand version, but they're not that great. This one makes nice cigarettes. These are like factory cigarettes, but not yes, oh, both, huh? Awesome. I never tried LSD. I was always afraid to. Hemp seeds, oh nice. One of the local farmers here just got the last permit in New York to grow, I think, 10 acres of hemp. And he was asking around because they insisted it be organic. And a couple of my friends told him to talk to me. I don't know if he'll talk to me or not about it, but just thought that was kind of funny. He's a total pesticide, chemical based farmer, unfortunately. And I've tried to talk to him about organics, but he didn't want to hear it. Ever lose control? $50 for a machine? Yeah, it was $50. I've been through one other machine in 10 years. It's about a machine every 5 years. They wear out. You can rebuild them, but the parts are so expensive, it's cheaper to just go get a new one. Yeah, I smoke a lot of cigarettes, or did. I've cut back a lot, actually, and I'm still in the process of cutting back. I don't really want to quit, but I've gladly reduced it tremendously. I smoke a lot more when I'm in front of the computer, especially chatting, like this live stream stuff. That's when I really want a cigarette. Yes, I believe they did legalize hemp at the federal level. But again, state law may negate that. They need to legalize that plant. This whole idea of an illegal plant is really just ridiculous. Doing the hard sell, yeah, oh, I hate the hard sell. I don't want it. Go away. It'll probably germinate, Mimsy. 70 degrees, moist soil. 74, ideal. Preferably 72 to 78 the first 3 weeks after it germinates. That's your best critical point of influence on that. It did, yeah. I figured. It's a pretty aggressive plant. Amazing that little seed can grow into monster plants in a season. Like trees. Sprouted in 3 days. That's good. That's a good seed. And good soil and temperature controls. Nice work. Usually it's 5 to 7. Yeah, it really is a weed. There's another one. There's another version of it besides cannabis. Actually, cannabis, catnip, and hops are all in the same family. And then cannabis has another derivative besides hemp called ruderalis, and that is a non-light sensitive version of cannabis, basically. Very interesting stuff. Using it for compost. Sure. Yeah, sure. No, I believe you, Mimsy. I'm just ribbing you. It's good for compost too. Ah, nice, Kiki. I wish our state would legalize. I have some back pain and other aches and pains that that would help tremendously with. The GBAs are long gone. Well, that's okay. And we won't hold your hippie days against you, Mimsy. I really think that opens people's minds up for different perspectives. I think that's a big part of why it's been fought so hard and so long. They don't want people thinking for themselves. Yep, I hear you, Mimsy. I hear you. I know, and there's a lot of people in that position in this country and abroad that they could use it for all sorts of ailments and help people with it and heal people with it. But they're afraid of getting busted and having the cops kick their door in and shoot their dog and take everything they own. Yeah, pretty messed up. Yeah, exactly. It would negate a huge portion of the pharmaceutical industry, very tied to the pharmaceutical industry. I remember the days, or at least pretend to. They're really pretty fuzzy. Yeah. Well, they're already doing that. They've already got patents on it, and believe it or not, Marlboro and R.J. Reynolds have patents on specific strains of cannabis. And they're actually in the works of setting up their markets and all that kind of thing. That's why it's taking so long to legalize. They want to get all their ducks in a row so they can profiteer on it. Our Governor Cuomo just signed, I don't know if he signed it or if they're considering it. I don't think they fully developed it yet, but they're looking at legalizing it recreationally. They legalized it sort of medically, but only edibles and only certain things and only certain very restricted. But they're looking at legalizing it recreationally here, and he wants $1 a gram tax on it, which tells you where his motives are. If you haven't seen any of the other stuff he's done. Yeah, CBD is expensive. I know one person who has cancer and they're taking CBD in high doses. Actually has lung cancer. And he's taking it in high doses and it's costing him a fortune. No, and that goes for anything, Geeky Gardens. When you separate the components, then you're isolating the compound. That's the same problem we have with a lot of the plant medicines. When pharmaceutical companies try to study them. Oh, Mimsy, I think we probably share the same opinion. It is not a good one, put it that way. Like the gun permits, right. Why? So they can make everybody fight each other. They can turn it into a political debate and not gain any progress. But yeah, Kiki, anytime you separate things, that's the same thing in soil and plants and trace mineral nutrition. You try to isolate one part of the system and just affect that part of the system, you don't realize that it's attached to all these other systemic parts. Some plant medicines, in fact, when you take the plant as a whole plant, as an herb, there are certain constituents of that would ordinarily harm you, but in that plant there are the counters to those bad parts. So when you consume the plant the right way, it has a medicinal effect. But if you try to isolate it and just use one part of it, then you can't do it. So same thing, is always have to view the system as a whole and work within the system. Yeah, the legalization push has really pushed the black market. And now we're building border walls to keep it out, right? I mean, maybe we do, maybe we don't need a border wall, I don't know. But what I do know is there's a lot of profit coming out of it in a lot of places. And, was it Bank of America, I think, was actually caught laundering drug money? So that's a whole mess too. $60 for a bottle. Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, was that THC or no THC? Believe it or not, the THC has a positive effect too. But of course, for some people, that's not an option if you have to be functional. You know, being high as a kite doesn't help. No THC, that's pure CBD. Okay. Yeah, I've used some in cocoa oil for different things, and it's amazing. Amazing stuff. Yep. Well, bad for cancer, good for humans. But I know what you mean, Deb. Anyone else have any questions or closing comments? We're closing on 3 hours here, and I gotta take a leak, and probably should restoke the greenhouse a little bit just to keep the temps up overnight, and a few other things here. Yeah, I understand, Geeky. Thanks, Mimsy. You have a good night too. And you too, Geeky and Deb. Thank you guys for hanging in there. It was an excellent chat, conversation. Boy, did we cover some topics tonight. Awesome. Excellent. I'm enjoying these live streams, and I hope we get more like-minded people in. I hope this thing really blows up and we can have a positive effect on the planet and the people on it. Anyway, excellent chatting with all of you. Thank you very much for your support. Appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon. I'm going to unplug here and push up a video on pruning and cytokines and auxins and hormone balance in plants. Yes, it has been a pleasure, Geeky. Yeah, I'm sure it will, Mimsy. I'm seeing the support. I didn't realize there were so many people like-minded out there like that. But there are, and it's great. Let's do it. We'll take over the planet one plant at a time. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Take care. God bless.